Hi there DIY Surprise Craft Box creatives. Welcome to the Strawberry Patch Craft Box. By now you should hopefully have received your boxes, and inside you will see a little piece of card that will have a QR code and a link. If you have any problems with your QR code, that will take you straight to the blog post where you'll find this video along with the pictures of all the finished projects that we're going to be making. You'll find a little wooden strawberry, a wooden plaque, a farmer's market printable, which I had so much fun designing, along with a vintage cloth label, which I printed out for you on calico, and then a little drawstring bag, along with a little gingham heart, and a little strawberry hand stamped strawberry patch, along with some green check material, homespun, a little bit of green felt, and some pins along with some buttons. And there's also a little bonus gift in there for you with the little beaded garland, just as a little thank you for being so patient with this box. Unfortunately, I've got a few things going on in my personal life at the moment which have created me not to be as on the ball as I normally am. So I do apologize for that. Okay, so I've just grabbed the wooden plaque, and we're just going on with the Dixie Belle fluff. And I'm making sure that is completely dry. And then I'm going ahead and cutting out the farmer's market printable. You can tear this if you like, it's completely up to you. I just wanted to make it a little bit more a sign. It will be just slightly smaller than the wood, but that's okay because we're going to create a little bit of a border. And then you're going to take your decoupage and you're going to decoupage this onto the wooden sign. And you just want to lightly use your fingers. Don't oversaturate it, otherwise you'll make the printable bleed. And just make sure you get all those edges down nice and secure. And dry that off. If you get any crinkles, just be sure to put some baker's paper over the top and give it a quick iron. And that will get rid of any crinkles. And now I'm just taking my little sander and I'm just going around and I'm just distressing the edges a little bit. This bit's up to you. I added some espresso wax around the edge just to give it like a smoky effect and make it look a little bit more realistic, like it is an actual sign. You can leave it white if you don't like this effect. And I just used a Chuck's cloth just to sort of buff that in, but you can also use your brush as well. And if it's not dark enough for you, go back around again until you get the desired effect. And there you have our first little project. Now we're moving on to the strawberry. I'm just going to rough that up with some 120 grit sandpaper. And then I'm going to take the cactus, and I'm just going to paint the top part of the strawberry. This is going to be a little trinket dish. I thought it would be awesome for you to also use when you're doing your DIY surprise craft box, to put all those little bits and pieces in so that you don't lose them, you know, like all the little buttons or all those little pieces. They can just sit on your little tray off to the side there and you won't lose them. All right, so I'm just drying that off. I did this twice. I gave it 2 coats. Or you could also just use it as a little trinket dish by, you know, your front door to pop your keys on. There's so many purposes that you could use it for. Okay, so now I'm just moving on to the red. And again, I'm going to be doing this twice, giving it 2 coats, letting it dry in between. I didn't paint the back, but if you wish to paint the back, you can most definitely do that. Just make sure you go up right at the top where the stalk is, and there's like a little lip there. Now I'm just going to dry that off and make sure that's completely dry before I go on with the second coat. I accidentally got a little bit of paint on there, so I'm just using a baby wipe to remove that. One of the booth holders came in while I was painting, while I was recording this, so I was kind of half in the conversation and half trying to record, so sorry for the delay there. Okay, so now I'm just going to dry that off again with my heat gun. Obviously you two also could, if you wanted to, you could just let it dry naturally. I'm just speeding this up obviously because I am recording it for you guys. So now I'm going to be taking some 120 grit sandpaper on a sanding block, and I'm just going to go around and lightly distress around the edges, including the stalk part of the strawberry. I just love this effect. It just makes the whole project pop. And then I'm just taking my little gator sander, and I'm just going to distress inside the strawberry a little bit. I need to replace the pad, so I ended up using my sanding block because it was a little bit more sharper. And once I'm happy with that, I'm just going on with some clear wax. Or you could use a sealer if you have some sealer lying around. And then we're going to go ahead and make a double bow. So I'm just sort of folding that around twice, and then I'm going to cut a smaller piece of jute and then wrap that around the center to hold the double bow together. You can just do a single bow if you wish, or if you want, you could go crazy and make like a messy bow. I just wanted to keep it nice and simple. Remember, you can make these projects your own. I love seeing what you guys do to the projects to make them your own. So I've just popped that on with a bit of hot glue, and there we go. And that you can just, as I said, put all your bits and pieces in from each project so you don't lose them. All right, so now we're going to move on to the little pin cushion. We're going to turn this into a strawberry. So I've just removed the little hanger, and then I've just cut a small strip off the felt, and then I'm going to create the top of the strawberry. I did this freehand. I didn't use a pattern, just to kind of create that leafy sort of look. You may have to go back in and just trim them a little bit to make them look a little bit more like leaves. They're not perfect, but I think that just adds a bit more character to the top of your pin cushion. And then I'm just going to glue that into place. And then I'm going to pop a little bit of glue down, roll that extra bit of felt to create the stalk of the strawberry, and then glue that on top of the pin cushion. And then I'm just going to grab a little bit more jute, make a little bow, and then I'm going to glue that into place at the top of the strawberry. And then I just took some of the espresso wax and I went around the little trim that is around the side of the pin cushion, because to me it was a little bit too bright. You can leave this out. It's entirely up to you. And then I just added the pins and we were done. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our last project. I removed the tags and then we're going to stain this. I wet this bag completely. I ran it under the tap first before I started doing this with the coffee. So I just sprinkled a light bit on. I did also with the example post, I did go very heavy with the coffee, and I'll show you at the end of the video what that ended up looking like. This one I'm going a little bit lighter. If you don't want to do this part and you don't want to make it grubby, you can also you don't have to do this part. If you just want to leave it calico, you can do that too. So I'm just massaging the coffee into the bag and letting that completely dry, and then I'm just coming back and just ironing it. I'm not going to get all the crinkles out because I like that look, but if you wanted to, you can obviously iron them all out. Just make sure you've got that baking paper over the top so you don't ruin your iron. And then I'm going to take out the green check material, and we are going to use some some decoupage, and we're going to start sticking that onto the bag. I forgot to put a piece of cardboard inside the bag to stop the bag, you know, if a little bit of Mod Podge goes in to the bag and sticking together. You'll see me insert that in a little minute when I realise that I haven't put it in. But make sure you do that just so that you don't get any glue, you know, seeping through the calico and going into the bag. Here I go putting that in, going oops a daisy. So I'm just making sure that that's all stuck down, and then I'm going to grab the little strawberry label. Absolutely love this printable, and I'm just going to rip the edges off. I couldn't do it on that part because it was actually a salvaged edge, so I had to cut it. But I just went around the other 3 sides, and then I've sort of frayed it out a little bit to make it look like a patch. And then I just chopped off any sort of like little loose bits that I had. And we're going to do the same thing that we did with the green check. And you'll see me realign this because I didn't realise at the time that I hadn't put it on very straight. It wasn't equal. So I'm just ripping that off, and I'm just going to move it over a little bit so it's a bit more centered. And then I'm just going to dry this off. And then I'm just going to make sure that everything's all nice and stuck down, and I'm just going to iron it. So put the baking paper down first, and then with my little mini press go straight over the top. So now this part, again, you can omit this part if you don't want to make it look really old and grubby. I just took some espresso wax and I went around the patch and sort of blended that in, bringing it in towards the strawberries a little more, but that's entirely up to you. You don't have to go all grubby if you don't want to. It's just a personal preference. So you can also stain this strawberry patch as well with coffee. I'm just going to show you a different way of doing it with the wax. So we've done it before with some other projects. As I said, I wanted to make this bag a little bit lighter because the first bag I did, I went really, really grungy. So stay tuned and you can see what that looks like at the end. So now it's up to you where you put your little your strawberry patch. You can put it at the side, at the top. I ended up just going at the top. And I'm just going to glue gun this into place. You can use the Mod Podge if you choose. And then I'm taking out my little buttons, and then I'm just going to pop them around 3 of the corners of the strawberry patch. And then I'm going to create a little jute bow. And also there should be a little black safety pin. I just put that at the top of the patch. This just adds, I just love adding those sorts of things. It's a little bit of a mixed media project, I guess you would call it. And I'm just making that little jute bow, and I'm just going to pop that in the 4th corner. Just get rid of any little fray bits, and we're all done. So this little bag I thought would be a great idea if you've got one little project that you want to take away with you, or you're off to a craft class. You can just pop that in, pop your book in. It's just a nice little way to keep it together. Now this bag is the one that is really grubby, so you can see the two are quite different. And that's it. We're all done. I hope you've enjoyed these projects.